We all make important decisions in our life. We decide what our career will be, where we will reside, in which city, and whom to marry. But we make these important decisions by carefully considering them. However, there is a very interesting concept in psychology which says that people select careers which resemble their names or which are similar to their names. This interesting theory is called as nominative determinism. Nominative determinism is the hypothesis that people tend to gravitate towards areas of work that fit their names. This concept suggests that a person's name can have a significant influence on their career path, their interests, or their life choices. The term nominative determinism was popularized by New Scientist magazine in the mid 1990s. It arose from a series of amusing examples where people's names seemed to align with their professions. Nominative determinism is the idea that people are drawn to their professions or roles that reflect their names, possibly due to subconscious factors. Several psychological mechanisms have been proposed to explain why nominative determinism might occur. People have a subconscious preference for things that are associated with themselves. These include their names. Hence, they might be drawn to careers that remind them of their names. For example, someone named Dennis might be more likely to become a dentist. If people frequently comment on the alignment of a person's name with a certain profession, the individual might be influenced by these comments and choose a related career. For instance, a person named Baker might hear jokes about being a baker, which could subconsciously influence their career choices. This is a self fulfilling prophecy. Another reason can be cognitive resonance. Names that align with professions might create a sense of harmony or fit, making the career choice feel more natural or satisfying. For example, a person named Lawrence might feel the idea of becoming a lawyer appealing because it feels like a natural extension of their own identity. Numerous examples of nominative determinism have been documented. A term used to describe people whose names aptly fit their profession is called atrophonyms. One example is Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world with a name reminiscent of speed, or Dr. Richard Seed, a fertility doctor, or Thomas Crapper, who was a plumber who helped popularize modern plumbing fixtures. This was nominative determinism. There are research and studies on nominative determinism. Some studies have explored some related concepts like name letter effect. Studies have shown that people have a preference for letters in their own names, which can influence their choices in various ways. Some research has suggested that people are more likely to live in places or marry people whose names resemble their own. Nominative determinism extends beyond career choices and can be observed in various other examples of life. One of the example is geographic locations. The acquisition of Louisiana by the United States from France in 1803 is an example of nominative determinism. The name Louisiana was derived from King Louis XIV of France, whose reign influenced the naming. Or Lake Victoria, named after Queen Victoria of the UK, reflecting the colonial influence and the name's resonance with the royal figure. Even academic choices show examples of nominative determinism. Studies have found that people with names starting with certain letters are more likely to work in fields where those letters are prominent. For example, people with names starting with A might be overrepresented in fields starting with A, like astronomy. Some authors choose pen names that resonate with their writing genre, like Lemony Snicket for children's books or Ellery Queen for mystery novels. People often show a preference for letters and numbers associated with their names or birthdays. For instance, someone named Alice might favor the letter A or the number 1, first letter of alphabet. Pet owners might choose names for their pets that resemble their own names or hold personal significance. A person named Sam might name their dog Sammy. Even sports and activities are subject to nominative determinism. There are anecdotes of individuals whose names align with their chosen sport. For example, a person named Lance might gravitate towards cycling, influenced by Lance Armstrong, or a person named Chip might take up golf, referring to golf chip spot or golf chip shot. Sports teams sometimes adopt names that reflect their location or sponsor. For example, New York Yankees align with the historical and cultural context of New York. Some studies suggest people might be more likely to even marry someone whose name sounds similar to theirs, a phenomenon called name letter effect or alphabetic coupling. Similar to marriage patterns, people might form friendships with others whose names or initials resemble their own due to a subconscious preference for similarity. Even companies often name products in ways that resonate with the brand or product's function. For example, the Ford Mustang car resonates with the image of a Mustang horse, symbolizing speed and power. Some brands choose names that reflect the founder's name or the company's mission. For example, Dyson, named after James Dyson, or Tesla, named after inventor Nikola Tesla. Authors often choose names for their characters that reflect their own personality or role. For example, in Charles Dickens' works, names like Ebenezer Scrooge convey aspects of character's nature. Even schools and universities often bear the names of their founders or significant benefactors, which can influence their identity or mission. For example, Harvard University is named after John Harvard, an early benefactor. Nominative determinism can potentially influence our choice of city where we decide to settle, though this influence is likely very subtle and not a primary factor in most of the decisions. The psychological phenomenon suggests that people have an unconscious preference for things that resemble themselves. Research has shown that people disproportionately are likely to live in places whose names resemble their own. For example, a person named Laura might be more likely to live in a place like Laurel or Lawrenceville. The resonance between a person's name and city's name might create a sense of psychological comfort or a feeling of fit. This can subtly influence settlement decisions, especially when other factors are neutral. For example, someone named Florence might feel an affinity for Florence, Italy, or someone named Austin might have a subconscious preference for Austin, Texas. There are real life cases where people's names seem to align with their chosen city of residence. A man named Paul living in St. Paul, Minnesota, or a person named Virginia choosing to reside in the state of Virginia are examples of nominative determinism while choosing the place of residence. Thus, there are many examples which show nominative determinism. Let us analyze this concept further. To conclude, nominative determinism is a fascinating idea that suggests a subtle link between our names and our life choices. While it provides an interesting lens through which to view the intersection of identity and career, it remains largely anecdotal and lacks robust scientific evidence. Nonetheless, it highlights the complex ways in which our identities and societal perceptions can influence our paths in life. Thank you so much for listening.